What really happened is this, and it starts in the early 1970s on a little island called Jersey in the middle of the English Channel. It's somewhere I like to think of as unique in the British Isles, but then I am biased. Some people think it's a tax haven and only millionaires live there. Some people say it's merely 75,000 alcoholics clinging to a rock. Some people, myself included, say it's for newlyweds and nearly deads. But to me it's still the most beautiful place on earth, and somewhere I feel uncommonly lucky to have spent my childhood. My mum was a bit of an exotic fox, and she met my dad, who's one of those chaps who gets more handsome as he gets older, while she was doing summer season on the island. She was glamorous, and while my dad suspected that all show business people were trouble, he was quite possibly right. He thought my mum might be okay, really. One slightly unorthodox domestic setup notwithstanding, I appeared a few years later, my mum's first and my dad's fourth little one. He's a bit prolific in the old offspring business, is my daddy. From all accounts, I was a nice baby, although my mum has admitted to putting a few drops of brandy in my milk bottle when I was being fractious. My main childhood concerns were stuffed animals, or variations on that theme, and severe and strange hairdos. Recurrent themes were army-style Grade 1 buzz cuts, or even worse, really, really grim poodle perms. I should mention now, if you hadn't already gathered from the amount of name checks I give God, death, feeling guilty for absolutely everything in my songs, that I'm very, very Catholic. They get you young, and you're never quite the same again. I attended various educational establishments, which all had in common truly dreadful uniforms, although my last, a thoroughly English boarding school, did not. So I have only myself to blame for the many fashion faux pas I made at this time. What can I say? Grunge was in, and we all wanted to look like Kurt Cobain or Justine Fleischman, and as you can see, I failed in both respects. Anyway, it was around this time I started to think there might be life after Ravel and his bolero, to which end I started singing with the school jazz orchestra. I was rubbish. So rubbish was I at this point, and so disappointed I wasn't going to be the new Billie Holiday, that upon leaving school I decided to study art in London. This was a big mistake, as I was even worse at art than singing jazz. You can only get so far by calling things postmodern before everyone realises, no, in reality, it's just crap. It was fun though. But I skulked back off to study at music college, and also made demos with my old school friend Tim, or TRD if you read my blogs, and that too was fun. But superstardom did not beckon. And in hindsight, this might have something to do with the fact that I was still not quite the queen of style that I am now. And my songs were about being in love and having had lots of worldly experiences, when the most daring thing I had ever done was to play keyboards in a reggae band in Peckham. So, real life followed, and that meant lots of really bad apartments, a varied employment history, and many moments of feeling thoroughly fed up and wondering if I should just chuck it all in. After college and subsequent boring jobs, I ended up working for a certain Mr. King at Mute Records in London, and this was quite simply my favourite job ever. I learnt about the music business. I became inspired, and bingo! I got signed to Universal Records in 2000, and put out a record 18 months later. It was called, ironically, Dear Frustrated Superstar, and it left me frustrated certainly, but not the other bit. Instead of going on a reality TV show though, I went back to university to study English, thinking that I might become a teacher. Obviously I didn't, and that's why you're listening to this. Sometimes in interviews I'm asked what are my influences and who has inspired me, and it would be easy to say the artists I most admire, but actually as I looked through my old photos I realised that's not quite the truth. My favourite author, Raymond Carver, wrote in his book Fires that for him the most crucial influence in his life were his children, and that he became a short story writer simply because having kids meant he only had a finite amount of time in which to write creatively. I don't have children, but when I think of what has had the most profound effect on my life, or inspired me to take a creative path, I would say it's my family. Always my family, and the family I've made from my friends.